Jean-Marie Laurette. While nothing has been confirmed, research has supported the idea that Jean-Marie Laurette is the illegitimate son of Adolf Hitler. While Hitler was serving in the German military and stationed in France, he met a young girl by the name of Charlotte LovesYou, and the two had a relationship that resulted in the birth of Jean-Marie in 1918. But it wasn't until Charlotte was on her deathbed in 1948 that she revealed the horrifying secret that the German dictator was his father. After that, Jean-Marie worked tirelessly to prove his heritage up until his death in 1985. The University of Heidelberg determined that Jean-Marie and Hitler shared the same blood type and even had similar handwriting. While controversial, the possibility is very interesting. Don't forget to subscribe to The Riches for more fascinating videos daily. Thank you for watching.
Assassinations are some of the most terrifying events that the public eye can witness. As time goes on, it seems that more assassinations are happening than ever before, and this time, cameras are out recording the whole thing. John F. Kennedy. The assassination of President John F. Kennedy took place on November 22, 1963, while driving on a 10-mile trip through Dallas, Texas. The president and his wife were riding in an open-top convertible when they passed the Texas School Book Depository building, where accused assassin Lee Harvey Oswald was on the 6th floor and fired 3 shots. 2 of the shots hit Kennedy, with the second shot being the fatal blow. Lee Harvey Oswald. Despite denying any involvement in the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, he was detained and arrested after killing the police officer who questioned him. On November 24, 1963, while he was being moved to a more secure county jail, news stations were running cameras and people were there to get a glimpse of the accused assassin. Without warning, nightclub owner Jack Ruby fired a direct shot at Oswald with a concealed .38 revolver, fatally wounding him. Alexander I of Yugoslavia. The assassination of Alexander I of Yugoslavia was one of the first ever recorded assassinations. A cameraman was just at the right place when the king was riding in a car around the city of Marseille, France, when tragedy struck. An assassin by the name of Vlado Chernozemski jumped out from the crowd and fired shots at both Alexander and his chauffeur, killing them both on October 9, 1934. Vlado was impaled moments later by a saber from a mounted officer and then beaten to death by the crowd. Allison Parker and Adam Ward. On live television in August of 2015, 24-year-old WDBJ reporter Allison Parker and her photographer and cameraman Adam Ward were shot and killed during a live segment. The assassin was former WDBJ station employee Vester Lee Flanagan II, who had just been recently fired and wanted to take revenge on his station family. Immediately after the broadcast was aired, Flanagan posted a video of the assassination from his angle. Hours later, he turned the gun on himself before he could be arrested. Ahmed Dogan. In January 2013, the life of Ahmed Dogan was at stake on live television as he was giving a speech at the National Palace of Culture in Sofia, Bulgaria. 25-year-old Oktay Ememedov stormed the stage and pointed a gun straight at Dogan, but the gun seemed to misfire. Oktay was tackled to the ground immediately. Upon inspection of the gun, it seemed to be loaded with pepper spray, but the intention was still there to harm the politician, and it was all caught live on TV. Hamid Karzai. Hamid Karzai was the 12th president of Afghanistan and served for nearly 10 years. During that time, he was subjected to numerous assassination attempts. While attending a military parade in Kabul in April of 2008, 6 Taliban insurgents used rocket-propelled grenades and automatic weapons to attack Karzai and anyone else they could hit. While Karzai survived the assassination attempt, many people around him were hit. 3 of the 6 Taliban agents were killed, and the group took responsibility for the attack almost immediately after. Stephen Timms. Stephen Timms is a member of the British Labour Party as well as a former member of Parliament. While he was an MP, he was attending to political matters at the Beckton Globe Library in East London. Security cameras were rolling when 21-year-old Islamic extremist and al-Qaeda sympathizer Roshanara Chaudhry stabbed Timms twice in the stomach. Chaudhry was found guilty and sentenced to life in jail for attempted murder. Robert Kennedy. On June 5, 1968, John F. Kennedy's brother Robert Kennedy had just won the California presidential primaries and was celebrating with supporters at the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles, California. As cameras were rolling and broadcasting the event all over the country, the celebration was cut short when Robert was shot by 22-year-old Palestinian Sirhan Sirhan. He was initially sentenced to death, but California invalidated the death penalty in 1972, so Sirhan is spending the rest of his life in jail. Pope John Paul II. On May 13, 1981, Pope John Paul II was making his rounds around St. Peter's Square outside of the Vatican when Mehmet Ali Agca fired 4 shots at the holiest man in the world. Because this was a televised visit outside of the Vatican, cameras were rolling at the time of the shooting. After extensive surgery, Pope John Paul II survived and publicly forgave his would-be assassin. Ronald Reagan. On March 30, 1981, President Ronald Reagan was shot in the chest by the deranged John Hinckley Jr. outside of a hotel in Washington, D.C. While he was walking back to his limousine, Hinckley shot 6 bullets at Reagan. The president was hit in the left lung and 3 of his attendants were hit as well. Reagan was shoved into the limo and taken to a hospital where emergency surgery was performed. The 70-year-old president miraculously survived. Thank you for watching this video. Here's a couple other videos we think you might find interesting. And please, like this one and subscribe to The Richest for more awesome videos all the time. Thanks.
Let's face it, many of us have probably cheated at something in our lives, whether a test or a game of Monopoly. Then there are sports stars. While most of us want our athletes and sports teams to play clean, it doesn't always happen. Whether cycling, auto racing, or just plain running, these athletes and teams let us down and shock the sports world with their efforts to cheat the system and get ahead illegally. Tonya Harding. In the world of figure skating, most of us associate cheating with the cases of bribery and corrupt judges, but it's not all behind the scenes. Take Tonya Harding, for example. The American skater seemed destined to play second fiddle to skating star Nancy Kerrigan. As the 1994 Olympics approached, Harding became involved in a plot to get a hitman to seriously injure Kerrigan, thus ensuring a spot on the US Olympic team for her. When it became clear Harding was also involved in a cover-up following the botched attempt, it pretty much ensured her place as an American sporting villain. The Renault F1 team. If you follow Formula One racing closely, then you know there have been more than a few allegations of cheating over the years. From spying to bribing, it turns out people will do anything to win in this popular motorsport. Then there's the 2008 Renault F1 team. During the 2008 Singapore Grand Prix, driver Nelson Piquet Jr. was instructed to deliberately crash. The move caused the safety car to be deployed and resulted in teammate Fernando Alonso winning. Investigations uncovered the cheating, and Renault was handed a suspension and its leadership banned from the sport for several years. The New England Patriots. Over the last several years, the NFL's New England Patriots haven't exactly kept a very clean reputation. Given the recent Deflategate scandal, the Pats are considered one of the league's dirtiest. In 2007, things started going really bad when it was uncovered that coaching staff were recording other teams' defensive signals, a no-no in the rulebook. However, it went beyond this as well. Allegations came out that the Pats were also stealing other teams' playbooks, game sheets, and even jamming their radios to stop communication between coaches and players. Joe Niekro. To make it as a pitcher in the MLB, you definitely have to have some skills throwing. Sometimes, however, being able to change things up between a slider and a fastball isn't enough for certain pitchers. Minnesota Twins pitcher Joe Niekro must have felt this way when he started manipulating the baseball with an emery board during a 1987 match against the Angels. In the 4th inning, the umpire noticed something strange with the ball and went to confront Niekro on the mound. Pleading his innocence, cameras famously caught the moment the pitcher tried to toss the file from his back pocket. Busted! Ben Johnson. If one athlete can ever become infamous for just one cheating moment and bring shame to a whole country, it's Ben Johnson. The sprinter was fast, and during the 1988 Olympics, he demonstrated that with a stellar performance in the 100-meter run. Soon after, however, the world learned that Johnson was pumped full of steroids. Disgraced, Johnson was stripped of his records and medals and created an environment where fans weren't so quick to celebrate a fantastic Olympic performance, at least until the urine sample comes back clean. Rosie Ruiz. Perhaps one reason why we love sports so much is the ability of a competitor to come out of nowhere to claim victory. Take Rosie Ruiz as an example. In 1984, the Cuban-American shocked viewers as she finished first among women in the Boston Marathon. Reporters noticed, however, that after the race, she was barely sweating, wasn't short of breath, and didn't seem tired at all. A little digging soon found that Ruiz had cheated her way to victory by riding the subway for a portion of the race before emerging from the crowd near the finish line. Diego Maradona. World football has had some spectacular and memorable moments, but you might be surprised that one of the most famous was actually an act of cheating. In the 1986 World Cup, Argentina and England squared off in the quarterfinal. In the 51st minute, Diego Maradona burst into the box and leapt into the air to head the ball into the England net. Replays proved Maradona had used his hand to deflect the ball, but the officials failed to punish the act of cheating. To this day, that act, known as the Hand of God, continues to be a sore point among England fans. The Spanish basketball team. If you're a fan of South Park, then you know in one episode, Eric Cartman pretends to be disabled in order to enter the Special Olympics and win. That story wasn't as far-fetched as you might think. At the 2000 Sydney Paralympics, Spain entered a gold-winning team in basketball for the intellectually disabled. The problem here? Spain's team was almost totally made up of players with no disability. In fact, it was even reported that during one match, the Spanish were so good that their coach instructed them to play worse so no one suspected they were cheating. The 1919 Chicago White Sox. In 1919, fans watched the Cincinnati Reds defeat the Chicago White Sox in a thrilling World Series finale, but it was all fixed. Several players on the Sox, tired of being treated poorly by owner Charles Comiskey, decided to fix the series by playing poorly and ensuring the Reds won. In return, they were to collect bets placed on the games. A year later, the story was uncovered and several players, including Shoeless Joe Jackson, were handed extensive bans as punishment for their role in the whole scandal. Lance Armstrong. Cyclist Lance Armstrong is one of those bittersweet stories wrapped in a thick layer of cheating. From 1999 to 2005, the American won the legendary Tour de France 7 consecutive times. Even more amazing, he had done it after beating cancer, which had spread throughout much of his body. It was a feel-good story everyone could get behind, until the truth came out. While you can't dispute Armstrong's recovery from cancer was uplifting, his 7 Tour de France wins came about thanks to a massive covert doping scheme. When the investigation was complete, the one-time hero was left stripped of his titles and banned for life from all sports covered by the World Anti-Doping Agency. Well folks, that's our video. Just a friendly reminder, don't cheat, stop cheating, be a good person. Anyway, while you're here, why don't you check out these other videos, tell us what you thought about this one, and perhaps subscribe to The Richest for more cool content all the time. Thanks, bye-bye.
When many of us think about teens today, we picture homework, friends, part-time jobs, typical teenage things. Then there are the teens that live unbelievable lives, persevering through unimaginable difficulties and possessing amazing talents. Here are 10 more teens you won't believe exist. Jenny Fry. When she was 15 years old, Jenny Fry developed a very bizarre allergy. She felt tired, was prone to headaches, and had issues with her bladder. Concerned about her daughter, Deborah Fry began researching and discovered she suffered from electrohypersensitivity. The Wi-Fi in her home was causing her to feel ill. They immediately removed the Wi-Fi from their home, and Jenny began to improve. The trouble was when Jenny went to school, the presence of Wi-Fi made her symptoms return, and she began to receive detentions for skipping class. Though her mother spoke to the school and begged them to consider Jenny's illness, nothing could be done.